All right. So today we're going to be reacting to a Mike Hollow video. His channel actually got copyright struck by a guy called Coach Kazama, who he had recently covered. Now, since then, the strike has been removed. But it's worth noting that people that abuse the system should be exposed. I come from old school YouTube where there was a couple of things that we never did. We never struck other people's channels because it was a bitch made move. We also didn't dox people because it was a bitch made move. And what people realized is that if they copyright strike people, in order to fight it, you have to hand over your actual details of who you are, your full name, date of birth, every detail. You got to hand it over, because what happens is that when you do that and you fight the copyright strike, it's setting up legal proceedings. You're taking the first step. The second step is then they have to then take that, find a lawyer, and then hopefully try and make a case for it. 99.9% of the time, people don't do that because it is just way too much of a problem. You won't ever win because we are allowed to actually talk about anything, any content on here, especially if it's in a transformative, network. It's not like we're just copy and pasting the video with no commentary or anything like that. But let's jump in and watch this.
This is not the video that I thought that I was going to be making on the channel today, especially because Harada has just stepped down from the Tekken team, or he's going to be stepping down at the end of the year. So you would think, this being a channel that has covered a lot of Tekken stuff, I'd be talking about that today. And I do want to talk about that, and we will talk about that a little bit later on. But there is a much more pressing matter that I need to address that has affected me and will affect other creators in the Tekken space if the necessary steps are not taken. Now, obviously, as the title suggests, I was given a copyright strike by Coach Kazama. And I woke up this morning to see this copyright strike, and I was very confused. I got up at about 9 a.m. and I saw it in my emails, and I couldn't work out what it was for. Now, I do reaction videos, but my two videos on Coach Kazama are not really the same kinds of reaction videos that you might see on the channel. I was doing a review of his coaching on his website, and just giving my thoughts on his situation with Nova Saiken, and the second video was a follow-up. Now, in the first video, I thought to myself, well, there is 30 seconds of his voice in my video, because you guys know me. One thing that I'm known for is yapping. And if I do a reaction video to one of your videos, you know that most of that video is going to be me talking. So I sat there confused, and I was like, there's only 30 seconds of him speaking in there. That would fall under fair use. Criticism also falls under fair use. The second video I made on him had no footage in there from anybody whatsoever, because I was in a cabin in the Cotswolds with my girlfriend with no equipment, so I just spoke into the camera. So I was very confused. Now, a YouTuber getting a copyright strike is not a new thing. And there have been plenty of YouTubers who have tried to take down other people's videos for all sorts of bogus reasons. You guys might know creators that go by the name of Aber and Preach. They have been in a feud with Fresh and Fit for God knows how long. The videos have clips from the Fresh and Fit channel, and Fresh and Fit have clips from Aber and Preach where they're talking over them. You can see both of their faces in each other's thumbnails, because obviously if you're making a thumbnail, you want to make sure that people know what they're clicking on. CoffeeZilla is another very popular YouTuber who does reaction style content or takes clips from other YouTube channels and under fair use covers them, criticizes them, and puts his videos out there. Asmongold is one of the most popular YouTubers on the platform and Twitch streamers, and he does
Basically, like reaction style content is some people say it's lazy, but the thing is though that like when people are watching you, they come to your channel and they're watching you as the person, they want to hear what you have to say about other content. And since YouTube is basically a massive entertainment hub, everyone is just farming everyone. Everyone's just like, everyone's eating. You know what I'm saying? Eating good. Is that what the kids say? Right?
the same thing. All of his
That's
content
fine.
is reaction content. It's very, very, very rare that Asmongold makes an original piece of content, but it falls under fair use. Same goes for Moist Critical. Even if you look at the WWE side of things, Maven does reaction content, Stevie Richards does reaction content, FGC channels like Button Check, they create thumbnails with people's faces in them so people know what they're clicking on, and they do reaction content. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what the hell's going on here? Now, if you're wondering why I keep on mentioning the thumbnails, it's not because I'm just doing that to fill time. Coach Kazama sent me a copyright strike because the video that I did covering his Tekken skills and his coaching monetization was not taken down because I spoke about that stuff. It was taken down because his face is in the thumbnail. Now, the reason that I mentioned all of those other YouTubers, and you could mention thousands of other YouTubers, is that when you're doing reaction content, usually you have that person's face in the thumbnail of who you are reacting to. That's something that is very normal. It's not something that you sort of like gasp at. We see that all the time. But I was baffled when I read this copyright strike and came to find out it was about the thumbnail. So I got in contact.
So I honestly can't remember what was the reason when I got my strike from the crazy hair. And I say that because I'm not mentioning his name. But when he struck my channel, right? It could have been a couple of things in there. But I have a feeling it might have been to do with essentially their artwork. You know, there some sort of original type of artwork that they created that was featured in the thumbnail or possibly showing up in the video, right? And it's like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not people like that are just fucking petty. With all the beefing between me and Mike, right? Not once did either one of us strike each other's channel, right? It was like bruised knuckle, blood flowing and shit, but not once did we strike each other's channel, right? Because the reason is, like I said in the beginning, it's a bitch-made move, right? We're allowed to talk about the content on here back and forth as long as it's transformative, right? And that's just the nature of the beast. Okay, and you can. It's always there's that. I see a lot of this saying going around at the moment because of those censorship stuff. But the people that always try and censor others are never the good guys, right? They're always worried about what you're gonna say. Yeah, and that's that worries them. It doesn't worry me, but it worries them because they may think, "Holy shit, this is gonna get out there." Mike's a big channel, getting lots of views on content. And so someone like that sees that and go, oh, that might eat into my lifestyle. That might make people realize, hey, maybe I'm full of shit. Maybe you are full of shit. But that's part of the discussion that we have with people on here is figuring out where they sit, right? Whether they are full of shit or not, right? And when people do things like this, I hated it. You know, I've been doing content for years, and when you get a strike, to me personally, it's a little bit of a gut punch because it's like, whoa, what the fuck? You don't expect that from grown-ass people on the internet, right? Unfortunately, some people can't handle it, and they will do anything they can to try and silence you, but it never looks good. It always looks bad. There is never a scenario where it actually looks good. Short of maybe perhaps somebody actually fabricating something about you that you can 100% disprove, but simply reading somebody's own created website and covering what they're talking about is not the same. You are literally using their content and then analyzing it and giving your personal review on it.
Contact with Coach Kazama, and I did also counterclaim it and let YouTube know that this is unfair, that people use each other's faces and thumbnails all the time. That's a very normal practice on your platform. We do reaction content. That's a very normal practice on your platform. I mean, there's a video on Coach Kazama's YouTube channel, and the video is called New to Tekken, Don't Make These 4 Mistakes, Tekken 8 Tips for Beginners. And in that thumbnail, you can see Coach Kazama's face. When you go to the video, you can see Coach Kazama's face in there. You can see his webcam. Now, I'm not going to put it in here because, as we've established now, Coach Kazama is not the kind of YouTuber that understands that what he's done is a cardinal sin, but we'll get there in a moment. But are you telling me that you can file copyright strikes against people because they react to your content with your face in it? That is a load of nonsense. I see my face on this platform all the time. I see my face on Twitter. People leave me criticisms all the time. They make reactions.
So yeah, the reason, right, is because the reason why YouTube allows it, which I don't agree with, I think they should do away with it completely, is because YouTube are washing their hands of it, right? They allow people to abuse the system because they're washing their hands of it. They're going, hey, listen, we don't want anything to do with that. You could deal with it. If you want to strike them, hey, we're not going to stop you, right? And then, of course, it's a terrible way of doxing yourself because then the person can strike you, hoping that they get that sensitive information about you and then, right, do whatever they will with it, which is obviously not good, right? So like it's pretty. It can be very used in a very insidious way by some people. Like I said, I don't agree with the system whatsoever. I think it should be completely abolished, and there should be a better system put in place because people abuse this system way too much, right? Like way too much.
Action videos to me, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. There has never been a time where I've even thought to file a copyright strike. You guys that have been coming to this channel for a very long time know that I had a very long beef, a very long storied beef with Fate, who is a YouTuber that does Mortal Kombat content. You guys that were here from a long time ago would have seen that beef.
I think he's talking about me.
Me and Fate were going at it for ages.
That is actually narcissistic. That is actual narcissism, right?
I hate that. I hate the hat. I hate my camera angle. You know, I'm gonna flag this video. I'm just kidding about it. Like, I'm gonna hate it because you know why? You know why? Because my internet fucking died, right? My internet died. I couldn't use my computer. I had to put the camera there. I hate that angle.
Right there. You got problems, bro.
And not a single time, not a single time in the entire time that I was beefing Fate did he send me a copyright strike. Now, did I have Fate's faces in my thumbnail? Yes. I had him making all sorts of dumb faces in my thumbnail. Not once did he send me a copyright strike. I had a very long beef with Planted Medusa, and not a single time during that beef did Planted Medusa ever try to send me a copyright strike. See, on YouTube, it is considered a cardinal sin to do that to other YouTubers. And this one might be the most stupid one out of any of the copyright strikes that I've actually seen on this platform. Usually when YouTubers copyright strike other YouTubers, it's because they got in their feelings that the content was used against them, the actual content itself. But in this case, it was because of a thumbnail. So before we go on, I do want to let you guys know that the copyright strike on my channel has now been removed. Okay. I'm going to talk you guys through how that has happened because I know Coach Kazama has struck a lot of other channels. I believe he struck Joe Budden. He also struck Makeout TJ. And I assume anybody else that has his face in the thumbnail is going to get a copyright strike. So I'm going to talk you through what options you have and how to handle this situation if you do want to protect your channel. Because unfortunately, there are YouTubers out there like Coach Kazama that are very underhanded and they'll do things like this. And although you can win against this, if you don't take the necessary measures, it can take a very long time. My situation was going to take up until March if I didn't find a peaceful resolution. So I'll talk you guys through how this all came to be and how we managed to resolve it, and hopefully you guys can get it resolved as well. Now, I reached out to Coach Kazama via his email and I told him that I'm willing to take this down the legal proceedings. I'd reached out to a couple of people in the morning, people that I know that are affiliated to YouTube, that understand YouTube's guidelines. And I spoke to somebody, which I can't name, that is, you know, quite well known on YouTube and has dealt with these sort of things. And they talked me through what my options are. So I reached out to Coach Kazama and I basically said that I'm willing to pursue this. However, I'd like to settle this in a way where it's not dragged out for both of us. I've got charity streams that I want to do this month. Hopefully, if things go well, I've got things that I want to do on the channel for my members and people that are part of the community. And it's Christmas as well. Like, this is just a long situation. So said to him, let's handle this outside of YouTube and get it taken down. Coach Kazama responded back to me a couple of hours later, and he basically told me why he was doing this and the grounds that he had to do it. And he cited the 17 USC 107, which applies to transformative use within commentary, not to non-transformative branding materials such as thumbnails. YouTube's own legal guidance distinguishes between them. So he's saying basically that the criticisms is fine, but using his face to put on the thumbnail to put those criticisms out is not okay, which is so dumb. And I read it and I looked at it and I was like, is this guy, is he for real? I showed it to my girlfriend. She started laughing. I was like, we were laughing at this whole situation. But I thought to myself, if I pursue this, I do have to go the whole 90 days and deal with it. And he asked me, if you take down the thumbnail, if you change it, I will remove the strike. I thought to myself, okay, that's fine. I've got better things to do than deal with this guy for 90.
What should happen with creators is that if for whatever weird reason they don't like a video or they don't like the thumbnail, the first port of call is to reach out to the creator and say, hey, listen, man, would you mind changing that? Right? rather than get in their feels and strike people immediately. That's what should happen.
20 days. I'll remove the thumbnail, I'll change it. After going back and forth for some time and him getting me to basically swear on a document or in an email that I will not have his face in the thumbnail, we had the copyright strike taken away. I'm assuming most of the people that got the copyright strike, if not all of you, I don't know of everyone that has gotten strike since this video has been up, that he wants you to remove his face from the thumbnails. Now, the reason I did it again is because it would have been a long situation, but I did seek some guidance on it. And they basically told me that yes, the situation will be drawn out. Yes, it will affect your YouTube channel, but ultimately, if you decide to go down this road, he will end up losing.
Yeah, so they always lose. They'll never win because it'll just get laughed at in court. Not to mention they have to front all the legal costs, you know, and try and prove somehow that, like, you know, this wasn't, you know, somehow you were affecting his income or somehow disparaging him as the face of his company or whatever horse piss, you know, that they go on about. And they'll just get laughed at and literally point out every video on YouTube that uses everyone else's face all the time, you know, and having the same argument. Like, the only way around it would be YouTube basically coming out and going, right, you can't feature anyone's faces ever again, right? But then again, that's, you know, we're just starting to go down a path of even more censorship, right?
So you guys have two options. All of you that have been struck by Coach Kazama, you have two options. You can basically say to him, yeah, I'll just change the thumbnail if you remove the strike. And I'm assuming because he did it with me and he's got no like reason to pick favorite me over anybody else, he'll take it down. Or you can let this go the legal route. Now, again, I looked into this, and 99% of the time when these sort of things actually do go the legal route, the person that filed the claim ends up losing.
Yeah.
So those are your options, really. It's completely up to you if you want to go down that road. Again, I have better things to do than deal with this guy. And I thought to myself, it's just a thumbnail. I can make a video afterwards without any of his crap content in there or having his face in the thumbnail and just talk about it. But as I said earlier, this is a cardinal sin to commit on YouTube. We don't do this to other YouTubers. No matter how much people might criticize me, no matter how much somebody might come into my comment sections and troll me, I won't do that to them. And there's already proof of this. I've already had beef with multiple YouTubers, some bigger than my own YouTube channel. And it's never even crossed my mind to do that to someone. And this was extremely petty. Now, the reason that I believe he did this is because if you were to enter the arena of ideas where you actually criticize somebody and they have to sit there and either deal with it or fight back, he wouldn't be able to. There's nothing that I've said in my videos that Coach Kazama could have a meaningful pushback from. There's nothing that Nova Psychic has said in his videos that Coach Kazama has a meaningful pushback on. So he went the most petty route and he tried to essentially silence us. Now, he did remove the copyright strike from my channel, but these sort of things can be very scary for some creators. And it's not about money. It's about, we build things on this platform genuinely. Like, we sit here and we talk to people, we build relationships. A lot of the guys that I know on this platform would suddenly disappear, like they wouldn't be there anymore, and everything that you've worked towards just goes away because of what this individual's done. And I understand that there are people that have been struck by Coach Kazama who are getting their channels off of the ground, and they're worried. They've been messaging me worried about what's going to happen to their channel. Now, I don't know about you guys. You know me by Mike Hollow, but some of my closest friends know me by another name, which is Mike Petty. And I was ready to go the entire way with this. I texted my girlfriend, I said, gee, listen, babe, there's not going to be any more Christmas presents, no more trips. If this guy wants to go all the way with this situation, then we are going to go the entire way. Luckily, it was resolved.
And you know, if his girlfriend ain't getting them trips and them presents, whew, does Coach Kazama, is he, listen, has he trained for that? I get you, he hasn't, right? Don't mess with another man's girlfriend's ability to get gifts. I'm just saying that, right? I'm just saying.
Peacefully. But in his email, of which he sent to me, he said to me that criticism is fine, but you can't use my face going forward. So to avoid any further problems, because this guy has absolutely no standards whatsoever and he doesn't understand that you don't do these things to other YouTubers, just don't use his face in your thumbnails. Talk about him as much as you want. Now, as for your career in coaching in Tekken and being in the Tekken scene, I don't know if you watched the live stream that I did where we were covering this situation and what you did, but I did say to a lot of people in the panel that although Coach Kazama has done things, although you have done things that I dislike, that we shouldn't ostracize him from the community and we should welcome him onto the platform so that he can maybe give his side of things. Obviously, he didn't take that. He curates his comments. He lives in an echo chamber. He's not interested with actually engaging with people in a live debate format. He wants to protect the following that he's got, and he doesn't want the image of his coaching to be destroyed. And that would have all been fine. But doing this, I do have to let you know that this never ends well for YouTubers. It never ends well for their channels. You could have actually just reached out to me and you could have just said to me, hey, you know, I don't really like the criticisms that you made of me in the video, but it is what it is. But could you remove my face from the thumbnail? Because it's not the first time that somebody's asked me to do that and I've done it. I have people come onto my live streams who don't want to turn their cams on. And I have pictures of them. And I'll say to them, hey, I want to use your picture for the thumbnail so people know who I'm talking to. Some say yes, and some say no. And some of the people that have said no are people that I don't get on with, that have come onto the podcast to have a conversation with me. If they say they don't want me to use it, then it's fine, I won't use it. But instead, you tried to ruin everything that I'd worked towards. And again, it's not about money. It's about the fact that this is time and effort that people put into build communities and to build relationships. And you tried to ruin it. And you didn't try.
I've met so many good people, as would have Mike and many other people out there that build their own channels, whether they're small or big. Where yeah, it's time, it's effort, it's you know, it's wanting to get something off your chest and share it, and hopefully other people like it or they don't like it, and that's just the end of it. And it takes time, you know, and you know, you put in the work. Oh, I'll talk about this. I'll talk about these points. I'll this is how I make the thumbnail. You know, this is when I've released it at a certain time because it's a good time for the algorithm to like it, or some, you know, all the nuances of trying to get shit out there into the stream of YouTube. And then somebody comes along, right, and goes, fuck you. Because when I reached out to the psychotic hair to get my strike removed, right, they basically said, fuck you, go ahead. So I did, right? And I had to dox myself to do it because that's part of it, which is what I was saying in the beginning, right? If you do fight this, right, and if they don't take the strike away, and the only way to fight it is through these legal proceedings, and you're watching this video and he hasn't removed the strike, hit me up. I will give you the format YouTube thing that you submit, right, to YouTube to counterclaim or to fight the copyright strike, which then puts the onus back on them. I think they got like 2 weeks or something like that to then go find a lawyer, file proceedings at the local court, you know, to basically take whoever to court and claim somehow that they were in some breach of whatever horse piss they come up with, right? So if they haven't taken the strike down, I have the layout to fight it. And I know it works, right? Because another YouTuber that I'd also given it to that also got struck by the same person used that same format and it also got reversed, okay? Like I said in the beginning, this creates a legal proceeding. When you submit your real details and put your stamp down and going, right, no, you want to go the whole way? Let's go the whole way. Let's go to fucking court. They always cave because they don't actually have the money to do it. Any lawyer worth their salt will throw this out even before it gets there and say, listen, you're not going to win this. YouTube is literally, like, the entirety of YouTube almost is basically like, I can point to almost any video and go fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use, whether they're covering news article, YouTuber, anyone, right? But as far as like welcoming people to the platform, fuck him and get him out, right? No offense, okay? But if people are going to do that, they can't be trusted. This is the line that I don't tolerate with people, right? This is showing your ass and that's it. Nah, you're done. There's nah, right? For me anyway, right? Because I've known people like that in real life, where you think you can trust them, and then they just stab you on the back. You know, one day they wake up in a mood and they're all shitty and stuff, whatever. They're like, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, fuck it. I don't like what he said today, so I'm gonna change my mind and do a strike. Oh, he mentioned my name in the title of the video. That'll be the next thing, right? People like that, I can't trust anymore. I can't trust to be close to them. I can't trust to be welcoming because they've shown their ass, right? So, you know, this is my personal opinion, but fuck them. Fuck them.
Tried to ruin it by criticizing me. You didn't try to ruin it by blowing me up or showing everybody why I'm a fraud. You tried to ruin it by running to mummy and daddy and saying, "Mummy, daddy, he's got my face on a thumbnail."
Yep.
You're a grown man. I hate to talk to a grown man like this, but you should be ashamed of yourself. Now, the strike is gone from my channel, and I appreciate how quickly you were able to do that. But I still don't appreciate what you have done to the other creators in this space. It doesn't matter how much I might dislike or even hate another YouTuber. Striking their channel is the cardinal sin on this app. It's the one thing that everybody agrees on. We just don't go down that road. And just to be clear, Coach Kazama, if I did pursue this, and if any of these other YouTubers did pursue it, it would be long, it would be drawn out, it would cost everyone money and time, it would hurt everyone's channels, but you would lose that. You need to look around and look at how this platform works. Reaction videos and having people's likeness in your thumbnail is completely fine. It has always been that way. You might be new to YouTube, but that is not a new concept. I would wish you the best on your future endeavors, but there's no point. You have dug yourself a hole that you are not going to climb out of. Now, you might be able to fool 1 or 2 unsuspecting souls out of $500 to get to Tekken King, and I can only imagine that those unsuspecting souls will wisen up one day to what you're doing. But ultimately, you've just hurt your reputation on a scale that none of my videos, none of Finty's videos or Nova Cyclones could have done. You've done that to yourself. To everyone else reaching out to me about their channels and you're worried about what's going to happen to your channel, a copyright strike does not mean that your channel is going down. It does hurt your channel a lot. It does, unfortunately. But
The problem too is that you're not even getting the warning. You get the strike, and then if they decide to be really asshole about it, they could so if you've got other content on there also covering them, they could then strike that one, and then you're gone. That's why it's insidious. That's why it's dangerous. And that's why it should be abolished or done in a way that doesn't immediately hurt the creator just because somebody else got their fucking, their feels all jumbled up, right? This is why it's bad. And again, I'll say again, if anyone out there has not had their strike removed despite reaching out, okay, then hit me up. I've got the blueprint that you can actually, this is the proper blueprint that you can actually send to YouTube as the response. You've got to put in all your own details, but the outline and everything that you have there, you can submit and it works, right? Because keep in mind that if you multiple strike people, then this singular entity that's done it has to take, so say he struck 5 people. He's got to take all 5 people to court. If he goes, fuck you, I'm going to take it all the way. He's got to take 5 people to court, and then just think of the legal fees. My God, right? And he'll lose, which means then every single one of those people, or could maybe force him to pay for the legal costs ensued and money lost on the channel. But the biggest hit to him will be his reputation. He's a laughingstock. He's a bitch, right? This is like when you're doing a proper, I remember when we used to train in TKD. It's like, yeah, don't headbutt, don't elbow, right? And then somebody does that. It's like, man, what, you can't fight within the rules of that are set. You got to cheat. Right, and that's kind of what he's doing here. He's trying to cheat. Not cheat. He's not cheating. Well, maybe he's cheating people out of money, but what he's doing is he's trying to silence opposing views here. Like Mike said, he and I had one of the biggest beefs ever. It's so ridiculous now. Even watching that clip makes me ashamed, right, of myself. And not once did we strike each other's channel, right? Because we know how this works. Okay.
Fortunately for you, the thing that your channels have been struck over is not that deep. And if you do decide to pursue it, you will more than likely be able to beat these people or beat people like Coach Kazama. It's an inconvenience and it sucks that it's come around during Christmas. I know some of you really do rely on YouTube and it can be very murky waters, but you should be fine. It should be okay. It shouldn't be a problem. The strike disappears after 90 days if you do want to go down that road. If you do the community school or the whatever that thing is called.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, you have to be re-educated about how bad you did wrong, even though they don't get educated on whether or not the strike itself was worthy of being a strike to begin with. This is what I'm saying. This is the problem with YouTube. They allow you to upload content. They wipe their hands of it and let people just go willy-nilly doing this type of crap, you know, so that way they're not held accountable. It's awful. And like I said, 90 days, that's 3 months. That's a long time, give or take, right? And in those 3 months, if they decide that there's something else on there that they don't like, that is used something of theirs, voice, name and the title of a video, whatever, they'll strike you again. This is why it's dangerous. You're not exempt from another strike. And if you get up to 3, your channel's terminated within that period of time. This is why it's dangerous, and that's why the people are probably freaking out. And like I said, I can help with this, right? I know exactly what to say, which is something that I found, like when the strike happened to me, and it works, right? But the problem is though, if you got to dox yourself in order to do it. But at the end of the day, once you do that, it forces them now to have to go to a court, file proceedings, all that sort of shit, right? And they won't do it because it costs way too much money over something as stupid as, oh, my face was in a thumbnail.
Cool. They send you some sort of like book that you're meant to fill out, an ebook, just to make sure that you understand how copyright works. Oh, and just before I close off the video, Coach Kazama, I do want to let you know and maybe point you in the right direction. I know you're probably feeling pretty high right now, like you've silenced a lot of your critics, like you've really stuck it to them. But I do want you to do a little bit of research and look into what happens to channels that do these sort of things. Now, for the time being, up until probably March, April, you're not going to see much of a change because these are fresh strikes. These are fresh claims that you've made on people. But you've
I think I know what he's going to say. Yeah, I think I know what he's going to say.
put out so many of them. And if some of these people decide to pursue it, there is going to, unfortunately for you, be some level of backlash. And I'm not talking about backlash from the community. This never, ever, ever ends well for YouTubers. And let this be a lesson to anybody else that is getting in there.
Oh, I thought, okay, so I think when you're a little bit strike happy, YouTube actually starts to like suppress your channel because they're realizing that you're just being a prick, right? And that you are now insidiously attacking people for no reason, and probably worse actually. They might even do worse.
Feelings because they put out content on the internet that people can review. You can find any manner of stupid reason to strike somebody. But what comes back to you when you do it in this fashion is probably not something that you want to deal with. As I said earlier, you should be ashamed of yourself for what you've done to some of these other YouTubers. I hope any
I don't know if this joke is going to land or not, but the only striking that Coach Kazama was probably actually effective at was actually doing one through YouTube, and not through Tekken. Coach. No, that's not going to work. I don't know. Anyway, right. But anyway, yeah. No, yeah. Anyway.
Anybody watching this that maybe has been criticized by other people does not run to the people in the suits or to mummy and daddy and tells them to solve the situation for themselves and actually grows a spine and just refutes people with facts and logic. All of the YouTubers, Coach Kazama, that have done this sort of stuff, it has backfired on them horribly. But it is what it is. You will learn your lesson in time.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, yeah. Shout out to Mike again. Like, I'm very glad that the strike has all been removed, which is good because, hopefully, hopefully, Coach fucking Tampon, like actually realized the error of his ways, and realized that, okay, maybe I've got to pull back a bit. Over fucking thumbnail. Jesus, man. Like, people are so petty. Like that's just petty behavior. That is just ridiculous, right? So, but anyway, I'll leave a link in the description for Mike's video. And also, to people that are afraid about talking about others, whether you like them or not, I've obviously got haters out there too. Don't be afraid, right? Don't let things like this put you off. Don't be afraid. Talk about people. I mean, to be fair, back in the day, there was a long time ago when YouTube didn't even allow you to do thumbnails. right? YouTube would literally just like kind of what it does now, where it'll choose different parts of your video, and you choose the one you like the best, and that was it. It didn't even allow you to make thumbnails, right? So that way, like, you know, it was, I don't know if it's better or worse. I don't know. It was definitely a lot more simplified, but you know, it's just petty. It's just fucking hell, man. Like these people, like, and the ramifications that they have. They think they're so top shit, right? As Mike's saying, he thinks he's top shit, but the damage is just like now because he's already clarified. This is what he doesn't realize. He's already clarified that it's okay to criticize him. Just can't use his face. So now people are going to go ham and criticize this fucking idiot constantly, right? As long as his face isn't in the thumbnail, which is going to have a Streisand effect because people will just be like, yeah, fuck this guy. You know, oh, is that his only parameter, not his face in the thumbnail? Great, cool. I can still criticize him. I can cover his website. I can put his name in the title. Done. Right? He's literally allowed us, or anyone that wants to criticize him, in writing, if you will, a binding agreement to say, you can do this, but you can't do that. Great. Awesome. So now he'll get further exposed, not just because of whether he's a good coach or not, but because he's an asshole for doing this. Right? And to be fair, it's not about the money, sure. But when the money starts coming in, when you start growing your channel, you start getting a little bit of extra pocket money, and it starts helping around the house and things like that, you know, and sometimes you can sometimes start to rely on it a bit. I know I have, right? So you've built up your business, if you want to call it that, or you've built up your project, your hobby, and then over time, the you know, one of the ways it's recognized is obviously through payment, like through ad revenue, things like that. So that does actually, you know, it does help out. There's an extra bill coming in and things like that. And you get some petty fuck out there that just wants to tear it all down. And like I said, and Mike said it too, all the beef that we had, not once, not ever was there a strike, right? Because it never ends well for the person doing the strike. You are trying to censor people. That's why it looks bad. You're not saying that what they're saying is wrong. What you're saying is you're afraid of what they're saying. Could be right. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. Catch you next time.